Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. Well, I almost got it too dark in here. Imagine that. Maybe if I sit back in the light. Well, who knows. Welcome to the first ever episode of Stories on Sunday Night with Recap Rookie. This episode is brought to you by Orange Chicken by Innovative Asian. Good stuff, man. This is what I had for dinner. Yeah, it's frozen orange chicken. Can you believe that? See? I don't know if you can see that. Orange chicken. How much was it? It's over a pound of it. It's good stuff, though. Pretty easy to prepare, too. Put it in a microwavable bowl. All the meat it is, anyway. Cook it for 3 minutes in the microwave. Then warm up the sauce a little bit by itself. Then pour it all over it, mix it all up. Heat it up another 2 minutes in the microwave. Voila. Asian cooking in the truck. What's good stuff. I would also like to make a note that I don't like fake stuff. You see that back here? Real dog. Real dog. Huh. Yeah, real dog. If you want to know, there's one more over there. Hold your head up. Lazy dog. Anyway. So, story night with Recap Rookie. I'm going to tell you a little story of a long time ago in a land far away. A little chapter in my life of the opportunity knocks, the road not traveled, hard work, all that kind of stuff. I don't know the star's name. His last name is Ketcher. Starred on the 70s show. He also he's got a show now on Netflix called The Ranch, which I've watched every episode of it. I think it's absolutely too cool. Problem is they come out with an entire season, and I binge watch it over about 3 days, and I have to wait another year for it to come out again. But I'm going to tell you a story about I moved out to California, and when I got out to California, I hired a headhunter to help me find another position because I didn't know anybody out there. I didn't have any business contacts in California. And make a long story short, this headhunter didn't give me any job interviews within about 2 weeks. So finally went down to her office and said, hey, what's the deal? I haven't had a job interview, or you haven't sent me out to talk to anybody in 2 weeks. And she come back with this, well, you got to understand, Mr. Vandenberg, you were a big fish in a very small pond. Now you're in a very big pond and you're a very small fish. It kind of set me back for a minute. I went, wow. I said, why didn't you tell me this from the get-go? And she goes, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I said, so you accept to take a job, and when you took the job, you realized that you weren't a strong enough salesperson to sell the product that was sitting in front of you? That's exactly what I told her. Because that's exactly what she said. What she said was she wasn't a good enough salesperson to sell the product that sat before. I heard somebody the other day on YouTube say that they can spot a salesman from a mile away. Well, I hate to tell you this. Each and every one of you are a salesman to a certain part. Some people are actually trained and skilled in it. Funny thing, though, about a salesman, there's a very fine line between a professional consultant and a con artist. But it's extremely easy to define. A con artist persuades you to do what's best for the con artist. A professional consultant He doesn't worry about the money. He doesn't worry about anything. All he's worried about is fulfilling all of your needs. And in doing so, he knows the money will come. It's the difference between a professional consultant and a con artist. But we're all salespeople. And so you'll hear people go, well, I'm no salesman. Really? You got a woman in your life? I guarantee you had to sell her on the idea. I really doubt she just jumped up and threw herself at you and said, marry me. No, I doubt that happened. You had to sell her on the idea. So we're all salesmen. I'm a salesman. I was trained as a salesman. You know, I got an aerospace engineering degree and my minor in marketing and finance. But before I went to college in the Marine Corps actually spent about $32,000 on my sales education. Went through Palomar College in public speaking. Went through Hooper Goody's workshop for negotiating within corporate markets. Went through Xerox School of Sales, which back in the 80s was the top-notch sales training that you could get. Anyway, $32,000 invested in my sales ability. Learned how to PSS with the best of them, professional selling skills. And what's funny is those skills you find no matter what you do in life, you use those skills. So I'm very grateful and thankful for that training. Teaches you how to do a lot of things. How to listen, how to fulfill other people's needs, how to cross the bridge, to show a benefit. And it also teaches you how to ask for the check. The close, right? There's all different forms to do all those different steps. But it's basically that. The sales thing is ask what do you need. 2, show you the product that fulfills your need. And 3, ask for the check. That's basically sales in a nutshell. Some people do it really well. Some people can't do it at all. You'll be grateful, though, that's not what the story's about tonight. So I found myself out in California with $250 in my pocket, and I didn't have a job. And I needed a job like yesterday. So I told the headhunter, I said, lady, I don't need you, obviously, because you're not the professional that you said you were. I said, so I can sell the product myself. And she goes, oh, you think so? And I said, you betcha, ma'am. I tell you what, I'll have a job before I get to the house. And back up to, I was in San Diego at the time, and I was living up in Carlsbad, California, just north of La Jolla, south of Oceanside. But anyway, headed back up there, and I'm on my way home, and I'm going, man, I need a job. I need a job. I need a job. Something fierce. As I was coming back up, there was a... Now remember, I'd already had my CDL. I'd already drove a truck for a couple of years for my own company. I was an owner-operator, basically. So I had a CDL. And if you have a... Well, then it was a commercial chauffeur's license. But if you're a fully trained, qualified truck driver, you will never have to look for a job for the rest of your life. That's just a fact. They always need drivers. And I'll tell you, I went home and I was looking at different places, you know, looking at the newspaper and stuff, and I answered this one ad about they were looking for a truck driver. I went and interviewed them. They offered me the job. Told me all I needed to do is go for a check ride with their number one driver. Number one driver, he was a young guy too, in his mid-20s. And What they did was they expedited freight down to the airport. A lot of trucking companies right there in that little area, that's what they do, is they expedite freight to either LAX or San Diego International. It was a cab over, which I was used to. That's what I learned how to drive first, was a cab over. Typical 10-speed transmission. No big deal. Back then we didn't have 53-foot trailers, we had 48-foot trailers. This is a dry box trailer. Dry van. Anyway, I got in the truck with him. He goes, okay, I'm going to drive down to San Diego Airport. He goes, I'll drive to the airport, we'll unload, and then you drive back, and that'll be your test ride. No, it's good enough for me. Notes beneath, I got in the truck with a frickin' idiot. This dude was an idiot. We get in this cab over, and if you know I-5 going down to San Diego, it's 8 lanes wide. And traffic generally runs anywhere from 80 to 100 mile an hour down through that stretch, down through the Golden Triangle into San Diego. We get in this cab over, he is hauling ass as fast as she will go. He is weaving in and out of traffic. He's not clearing the cars in front of him. Let's put it this way. Have you ever been in a cab over and you can't see the back bumper on the car in front of you? Jesus Christ. It was close. Swinging a trailer back and forth into traffic. How he kept from killing anybody, I don't know. It was insane. Weaving in and out of traffic, cutting people off. Just jamming it, hauling ass. We get down to the airport and we drop the load, and he goes, okay, your turn to drive back. And I said, let me ask you something before I do that. And he goes, what's that? I said, do you expect me to drive the same way that you did coming down here? He goes, absolutely. He goes, you've been driving long enough, you should have the skills that you can do that. And I said, brother, if I have to drive like that, I'm not going to. Matter of fact, you can drive us back. I don't need the job that bad. He goes, really? You don't want to drive? I said, not like you do. I said, I'm going to tell you right now, the grace of God is the only reason why you ain't killed yourself and a bunch of people around you. And eventually, you're going to kill somebody. And you know what? I don't want no part of it. So no, I don't want your job. So I walked. The next morning, I didn't have any leads on who to go look for a job or anything. So I thought, I'll just climb on a city bus and ride around town until I see a trucking company, and I'll go in and talk to them. And I was on a city bus going south on the 101, and we drove through Encinitas, California. And I could see this little yard with a bunch of trucks in it. And boy, they should look pretty and shiny, and it looked like a nice little place. So I got off the bus and walked over there. It was Weston Trucking. And they had little day cab conventionals, no sleeper trucks, tandem rear ends. They had a couple of expedite, box trucks, 30-foot box trucks. And they had a great big nice dock, and it was busy. I mean, everybody was busy. The dock was hopping, freight was moving, trucks were coming in and out. It was, for a little place, and this was a little yard. I guarantee you this little yard wasn't 2 acres, to give you an idea how small it was. And the trucks, they were older trucks, but man, they were spit polished clean. All the chrome was polished. They were ta-ta meow clean. The lot was all paved. You could tell it wasn't a big operation, but it was a classy operation. So I walked up on the docks in the dispatcher's office, and I asked him who I'd talked to about going to work for him as a driver. And they said, well, the only one that hires drivers is the owner, and that's Old Man Weston. And I said, well, how do I get about getting in front of him? And he said, just a second. Reach over, grab the phone, call him. I said, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to me. Old man Weston lived in a second floor of the office. Either his office was on the first floor, where he lived was on the second floor. And his office window, which was on the ground floor, looked out over the yard, but also his living room looked out over the yard on his trucking operation. We actually held the interview in his living room. He never got up out of his chair. I noticed the cane. He's a pretty good size old boy. Had me sit down across the room and we just had a chat for a while. And I had a copy of my resume. And I handed him my resume. And he sat there and read over it for a few minutes and he goes, You're a corporate guy. And I said, yeah, that's kind of my background. I said, but I've been in a truck for the last couple of years. He goes, why would a corporate guy with this type of resume be looking for a trucking job? And I said, honestly, I said, I need a truck like yesterday. I don't have any money in my pocket. I got to eat. Somebody always needs a driver. I'm willing to do the work. I got a strong back. I said, I'm faithful, loyal, and honest as the day ever come. I won't do you wrong. I won't take advantage of you. I'll give you a full day's pay, but I'll give you a full day's work, but I expect a full day's pay for it. I guess he kind of liked that. So he sat there with his hand on his face for a couple minutes. He goes, I tell you what, I'll give you a shot. He goes, but I don't hire anybody and put them in a big rig. He goes, you'll have to work your way back. You'll have to work your way up into one of my rigs. He goes, it won't be long, but I expect you to learn every nut and bolt of this operation. He goes, if you want the job, you'll start out on the dock and you'll throw freight and pack trailers for 2 months. After you've packed freight and you understand how the docks work, how dispatch works, how that all goes, he goes, then I'll put you in a truck. First of all, I'm going to put you in a truck where you're out picking up product from our customers. He goes, I own the flower co-op. Yes, this is where the story gets interesting because yes, I lived in Southern California and I drove a posy truck. Yeah, I was driving a flower truck, driving flowers, man. He had the flower co-op and what his basically business structure was, go around to all the nurseries in Southern California, there in San Diego County, pick up fresh cut flowers. They'd be in boxes. These boxes were about 70 pounds, about the same size as a 70-pound square bale of hay. And working the docks, that's exactly what it was like. It was just like hauling hay. Now, one thing neat about their van trailers is they had rollers on either side of them. So you would pull a box of flowers off of a cart and just sling it down the rollers and it'd go all the way to the nose, and then the guy in the nose would stack it. So you either slinging or stacking. But that was the job. But they drove around all over the countryside, picked up the flowers, brought them back to this dock, and then they put them on a truck either going to LAX or going to San Diego. This is air freight. Fresh cut flowers going to all the florists in the United States. Roses, tulips, everything else like that. In the fall, poinsettias. Ecke poinsettias. I actually went directly to Ecke Farms and picked up the poinsettias. We also shipped strawberries. There's a place in Carlsbad, California. Man, they grew the biggest strawberries you ever saw. These things were like a delicacy. These strawberries were about the size of your fist. They're huge ass strawberries. And they sold them in flats. There was 24 of them on a flat. And in the middle of the flat, it had 3 little dills of sauce. One of them was powdered sugar. One of them was a cream sugar. And the other one was chocolate. So you ate the strawberries right out of the flat and dipped them. And they shipped them all over the United States. This was basically for people on Sunday morning to have strawberries and champagne brunch. That's what all that was about. Anyway, so I went to work for Weston, slinging freight on the docks. And there was the lead driver there was a big old fat Mexican. His name was Gil. I'll never forget Gil. Gil hated me with a passion. Found out later why. But I mean, he made my life absolutely miserable. He was always saboteuring me. Even when I got into a truck, he was trying to sabotage me to fail the entire time. I later on learned why. But it was pretty hard going. Where I finally won over my acceptance with everybody in the company is I was on the dock one time slinging flowers into the back of Gil's truck that he was going to run up to LAX. He started talking crap to me. One of the things he said, he goes, white boys have little dicks. I went, hell, what are you talking about, fat man? You ain't looked down and seen yours in 20 years. The whole frickin' dock fell out laughing. Oh my God. It was pretty hilarious. I'm kind of known for that. Don't talk smack to me. I'll make you look stupid in a heartbeat. I'm just kind of quick-witted that way. But anyway, so that was kind of my acceptance in the company. And it wasn't too long after that, they moved me up to drive a box truck, go around, pick up flowers from all the different nurseries. And I ran all over the countryside doing that for 2 or 3 months. And finally, old man Weston put me in a big truck. You know, a tractor and trailer and 48 foot and running it either down to San Diego or LAX into air freight. I found out later why Gil gave me such a hard time. Gil had been working there for old man Weston longer than anybody. Gil had been there for 26 years. And Doug, the dispatcher, I was in his office one day, and I asked him, I says, why is that old freaking Mexican, why does he freaking hate my ass so much? And he goes, yeah, you can't figure it out, can you? And I said, no, I don't figure it out. I never did nothing wrong to him. He goes, it's because who you are. What do you mean, man? He goes, it's who you are. He goes, you're college educated. He goes, we've all heard about your resume. It's to die for. And yet you're out here busting your balls and sweat running off your back like the rest of us. He goes, so, yeah, Gil's going to have a problem with you. He goes, beside that, old man Weston is ill. I said, yeah, I noticed when he interviewed me for the job, he never got out of the chair. He goes, the reason is he can't get out of the chair without help. The old man's dying. Old man's well established, Chamber of Commerce, one of the leaders in the community. He's got money. But the one thing he loves more than anything else in this life is this trucking company. This is his baby. He built this, and this trucking company is what made him who he is. And he loves this. He loves this company. He goes, might love it more than he loves his own wife. He doesn't have any kids to leave it to. Gil is his most trusted employee. He's been with him for 26 years. He goes, but there's a problem. Gil can't run this company. I said, why is that? Gil can't read. What do you mean Gil can't read? How does he know where to pick up a product? Oh, he can get a good idea, you know, if we tell him to go to Eki or if we tell him to go to this nursery or that nursery, he knows where they are. I said, but to read the order about what he's actually picking up, he can't do that. We just have to trust it that they throw it all on the truck. And as far as taking it to the airport, there's only 2 codes. Those 3 letters on the end of the box, it's either going to LAX or SDI. It's either going to Los Angeles or it's going to San Diego. That's all he needs to know, man. He can't read. So he sees you as a big threat. He goes, anybody else come in here and need a trucking job? He goes, we need a trucker when you walked in the door. He goes, but anybody else? The old man just stuck him right into a truck and they started driving. The old man didn't stick you in a truck and drive it. You've been in every position in this company in the last 6 months. He goes, you know every nut and bolt of how this company works. And I said, yeah. So I said, the old man told me that did that to everybody. He goes, the old man might not have told you exactly the truth on that. I said, well, why was I so different? And he goes, because you've got the background, the knowledge, the education, and the ability that you not only could run this company, but you could make it grow. Something the old man hasn't been up to in years. The old man's been talking about selling it before he dies so his wife would have the money to survive on. But if he had somebody that he totally trusted that could make it run and grow, he could sign it over to his wife and it would provide for her for the rest of her life. There's an opportunity there. I had an opportunity that I could have taken over that company eventually. And I could have turned it into something huge. Already had a good start. But I will tell you that I was young, didn't realize the gold mine that was sitting in front of me, and I had higher aspirations. I really wanted to get back to the corporate gig. I liked wearing a suit and tie. I liked driving Lincolns and Cadillacs. I liked having a jet on call. I liked that lifestyle. I wanted to get back to it as fast as I could. That's the devil talking is what that was. You know, there was a movie star. I don't know his first name. I'm terrible about this. I'm not much into celebrity worship. I started talking about this earlier. His name's Ketcher. Played in The Ranch. Played in the 70s show. He was the replacement for that little boy on 2.5 Men. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. He was getting some big fancy award out there in Hollywood. And he had got up on stage and he talked about opportunity. And one of the things that he said, he goes, opportunity doesn't just come. He goes, you make opportunity happen. And the way that you make that happen is it looks a lot like work. It's just like Old Man Weston. Made me work for it. Man, I was out there stacking out trailers, sweeping the docks, washing windows on the truck, polishing the chrome on the wheels. You know, Old Man Weston, every day, a truck before it went out, the windows got washed, the mirrors got washed, the tires got a fresh coat of tire dressing on them. Man, his equipment looked good. But there was a reason why I worked for it, kept it that way. Like Ketcher says, opportunity looks a lot like work. I got out there and busted and run sweat off my back and worked hard. And every day Old Man Weston sat up there in his chair looking out that window. He watched everything I did. Just to see what kind of guy I was. If I took the shortcut or if I actually did the job. The old man was going to offer me the company. Couldn't do it though. Had bigger aspirations, had a different path to walk. And that's something else, you got to know your path. But like Ketcher said, opportunity looks like work. The way you get opportunity is you go to work. Catcher talked about the way that he got his opportunity is he was sweeping floors and doing janitorial work and cleaning things and doing this the other, and somebody took a shine to him and gave him a shot at doing something different. He ended up being a movie star. You hear a lot of these young people these days, they want to sit on a couch and they think that they're going to go out and graduate college and go out and make $100,000 a year, or they're going to run their own company. And the same thing with this trucking gig. Guys want to get their CDL and they want to be owner operator day one. Don't work like that, folks. Anything that you want in life, if it's worthwhile, you have to work for it. If you didn't have to work for it, everybody'd have it. Don't be afraid to do the work. When you come out here as a truck driver, everybody's going to tell you. Everybody tells you ought to be a company driver for at least 2 years. You got to earn that respect. You got to earn your shot. Now, after you've been a company driver, some guys get their shot after a year. Everybody will get their shot after 2, depending on how they conduct themselves. As long as you don't screw up, you don't wreck a truck, you don't kill anybody, you don't tear up a bunch of equipment, you don't get a crap load of tickets for making bad decisions, you go to work for the right people in the right company in the right environment, you'll get your shot. But be willing to do the work. Don't think that you're going to come out here and somebody's going to hand it to you. It's enough what they're handing it to you when they hand you the keys. Think about it. This truck I'm in, this is a $160,000 truck. Dragging a $65,000 reefer. That's $225,000 right there. A lot of times I'm carrying product worth another $200,000. So when I'm rolling down the road, I'm driving down the road with close to $500,000 of somebody else's money. Be grateful for that. Somebody entrusted you with $500,000 worth of equipment and trusted that you were going to do your job in a proper way to see it through, to get the product there on time where it needs to be. Somebody. Well, that was my storytelling for the night. You do your job. Don't worry about the pay so much in the first year. You can do it. You can make 50 grand your first year. Make the right decisions to do it. You can make 72,000 your second year. You can go owner operator that third year and make 120 grand. That's a pretty quick advancement. That's a lot faster than what most of the college graduates are ever going to see. Just get off your butt and do it. Hard work, dedication, make the right decisions, be loyal to the guy that pays you check. Everything else will come. Well, that's enough story time with Recap Rookie on a Sunday evening. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope you benefited from it. Well, me, the Bing, and the Bang, we are out of here. God bless each and every one of you. Be nice to each other. Bye-bye.